The run game. So curious to see how this is going to work out. We've talked a lot about this offense that Kendall Browse is running and how it is going to make LaNorris Sellers better and how it's going to accentuate him. We know that last year he was limited in his ability to run. LaNorris was. So hoping that this year there's a little bit more freedom, but not to the point where he's like scrambling around and like it's because of breakdowns. 2 seasons ago, we saw LaNorris run really well. And sometimes it was not by design. It was because things were breaking down. The offensive line was letting things go and LaNorris kind of had to run. But this year, you're hoping to see more design type of plays that really allow LaNorris to run and use his legs, which are a weapon. But I'm also curious about the run game because we've talked so much about him. I don't think the run game will be stunted in this offense at all. Kendall Browse knows it's obviously a huge, important part of what this offense is trying to do. You can't just rely on LaNorris Sellers. And we've been really excited about this running back room too, Jack. So I'm curious your thoughts on this.
Yeah, and we also heard a little bit from Christian Clark, one of the new guys in that running back room yesterday when we talked to offensive players. So I'll throw in a little bit of that context with some of what he said to kind of talk about the running back room with a little bit of updates there. But, yeah, no doubt. I mean, you see it firsthand 2 years ago. What are the factors that went into LaNorris Sellers, as you mentioned, being the player that he was? When he was at his best, he had a real nice complementary run game to, I guess, complement what he was able to do as a passer, but also – that dual threat capability where he could take off and run for nearly 700 yards 2 years ago. He had Rocket Sanders. He had a nice guy as a second option in the running back room like Oscar Attaway. You go to last year, South Carolina didn't have a great run game. And then 2 years ago, you also look at the tight end room. He had Josh Simon. That was his leading pass catcher. Last year, Simon was gone. You're relying on Brady Hunt. Michael Smith was with the program for a few games before he left. I mean, like those two factors were not really much of a factor at all last year. And you got to get back to that to some degree. Now, what is the more likelihood of the running back room being better or the tight end room being better? I'd probably go with the running back room because I feel like there's a lot of talent in that room. And the thing that we know is that it's unproven, right? So none of the guys, Christian Clark, Fuller, Jawarn Howell, Isaiah Gustave, none of those guys, Jabri Coleman, none of those guys are super, super proven to where they're coming in as like a Rocket Sanders, right? Some of those guys have starting experience from other schools. Some of them have played a little bit, but not like you're not getting a guy that's like full season as a starter, 1,000-yard rusher. You kind of have to work through it in preseason camp here. And honestly, the first 2 games of the year, I think, are also going to be critical in figuring out who that lead back is. And I think it may be a little bit of running back by committee to start the season, just my opinion. But then eventually it's going to have to get into having hopefully 2 top guys that you can roll with through the rest of the year. And Christian Clark was saying that the competition's been very competitive in that RB room. They're all pushing each other to be really great every single day. And the other key factor that I don't think we really think about as much is that, and Clark mentioned this, that in order to win games, the running backs that are in need to be talented at blocking in order to keep Sellers upright. So and Stan Drayton has made this clear. If you can't block, you're not going to play. So you can't just be a guy that runs the ball well. That's part of it. That's probably the most important part. But the other underlying factors that you have to be able to block. So we're going to see. Look, Christian Clark made it clear they have good depth at running back. They feel good about where that room is at. But we got to see it, I think, to really believe it.
Yes, and I forget who said this. Jack, you will remember. It was one of the coaches. He was talking about one of the position groups saying that you don't want to necessarily have people like completely stand out above the rest because you want to make sure that everyone will be able to contribute if they're called upon to contribute. You're obviously going to have your people that like rise to the top and your favorites or like best guys, so to speak, but you want to make sure that you feel confident that everyone would be able to go in and be successful if the situation occurred. I forget who said that. That was a couple weeks.
I think it was, we talked about it last week. I think it was Travian Robertson who mentioned it to me, because I asked him the question at Birdie's a few weeks ago. What do you look for in guys separating themselves? And he doesn't want guys to separate themselves.
Yes.
Which is an ironic yet unique thing to say.
Great quote, though.
But it makes sense, because it's like in the defensive tackle room and defensive line in general, you need guys you're having guys rotate in there, right? And playing, you could rotate 6 to 7, maybe 8 guys in there potentially this season. So, yeah, you want guys to come together, which is the way he put it. So that makes sense, right? Because you want to have really good depth. And I think that's more important than having like a clear-cut starter, right? So